All right, ni Istanbul vinaka, ni mata vinaka mai, kem ni na marami kinaturanga mai na veindela niabu, iviti, kena via sai burubura. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, boys and girls, ni Istanbul vinaka, a very warm welcome to all of you this evening. We are glad and humbled that you can join us this evening in our little Talanoa session, which of course we have called Tali Vesa. So just to explain before we carry on, Tali Vesa means in regards to performing arts in particular, because I teach dance, I teach meke. Tali Vesa is to weave our wristbands. During, of course, traditional Fijian meke, part of our attire is to wear wristbands made out of leaves, which we call vesa. They normally adorn our wrists, our ankles, sometimes our arms, and also the midsection of our performers, whether we're wearing masi or liku. The vesta is an important part of our costume component, as these are always fresh green leaves. This is always a sign that signifies and connects us to the vanua as a live and living part of the vanua. So as the process of Tali Vesa is taking place, of course, our people sit together, work communally to get this big job done. And normally this is the platform where stories are shared, jokes are shared, laughing is had, and relationships are strengthened. So I thought we use this terminology or this theme of Tali Vesa as it's appropriate in this sense of Pacific dance as well as Mekevakaviti. Yeah? So Tali Vesa this evening, we're grateful for you to join us in our Tali Vesa session, where we hope to exchange ideas, Talanoa, and to share and uplift each other. So once again, Sara for joining us from locally here in New Zealand, also from the far north, or the northern tip of the Polynesian Triangle, all the way from the land of Aloha. We have a very special guest joining us. I will get her to introduce herself in a little bit, as well as some of our own local knowledge holders based right here in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, New Zealand. And a very warm welcome to all of you as well who are joining us from abroad. Could be from the motherland in Fiji as far as the United States, maybe some from Europe, from the fellow Pacific Islands as well. We welcome you, ni mate vinaka mai. So for our topic this evening, of course, this is the Pacific Dance New Zealand Artist in Residence, of which myself, Alipate Traill, have been chosen to be this year's Artist in Residence, of course, representing our Fiji Itoke culture, mainly in Mekevakaviti. First time, I believe it is, for this program. So what indeed a great honor and a privilege to be able to fly the flag for our nation and to spread more of that Mbula spirit. So, and due to the community outbreak, of course, of COVID-19 in Auckland, this residency has shifted online. This again is week 3 of our broadcasting online each week, every Wednesday, New Zealand time around 6 p.m. And our program, of course, is running for 11 weeks all up, which takes us all the way to Fiji week, yeah, the October the 2nd through to the 9th of October in a few weeks' time. So Fiji Language Week, as well as celebrating our Fiji Independence Day as well. So this, of course, is week 6 in our program of the residency. And this week's theme, of course, is Sole Solebaki, Loloma, and Veikawaitaki. So during this Artist in Residency program, each week we're running programs with groups of children in West Auckland, in South Auckland, and of course our program is designed to be shared with everyone online as well. So along in the program, we find ourselves sitting at week 6, and each week has a theme built upon the key Itoke values, okay? And so these are the themes that we take each week. This week, of course, is Sole Solebaki, Loloma, and Veikawaitaki. So just to introduce the theme, I will be sharing bilingually in Fijian as well as in English for those of our speakers who aren't fluent in Fijian. not to worry. We will also translate in English and vice versa as well. Of course, our aim is to help and accommodate our young ones as well who are beginning their journey in learning about Vosa Vakaviti or Navei Ka Vakaviti, things itoke or Fijian way of life. Yeah. So just to kick off our Talanoa this evening, I will introduce the theme, and then I will get our speakers to introduce themselves. So we're heading right into our theme right now. And this theme, this definition, of course, is taken from one of our very well-known Fijian writers, Ratusemi Servakula. And he said, Sole Sole Baki sai koyangori na nonran dua wata na lewe ni matangali, ia vusa se koro me rangarava wata en dua na dhaka levu, kan renre kina merawa kina ni oti totolo. Babalangi, Sole Sole Baki is that of our people coming together as a village, as a matangali, as a yavusa, to share the load in completing a major task. Some of these tasks can be Vakaviti, na taravale Vakaviti, na iteitei le levu, na sasama ki va koro, na so levu se songo ni vanua se matavu vale. So some of these events or some of these, the reasons why Sole Sole Baki is an important feature in our Fijian society is when the need arises, projects such as building a Fijian style house, taking care of a major plantation. This is a plantation for the entire village or the asana, sasa makiva koro or clean up as a village, so levu or songo ni vanua. This is a vanua get together or celebration. Yeah, it can be either a celebration or an event in regards to the chief, could be his investiture or installation ceremony, or it could be a wedding, as simple as a wedding of one of the families in the village. Okay, these are opportunities that bring our people together to work together to lighten the load of the object or the task at hand. So Sole Sole Baki, in short, is about working together communally for the general goods of our vanua or our village. Yeah, so that's Sole Sole Baki. Of course, at this time, of course, I'm most privileged and honored to have with us, joining all the way from Hilo, Hawaii, the big island of Hawaii, Merewairita Vunidilo, who is the daughter of Dr. Tarisi Vunidilo and Kalivati Vunidilo. I'm sure you'll join me in welcoming her this evening. I'll now turn the time over to yourself to introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about who you are and where you come from. Vinaka.
Naka. Hello, everyone. Nai Vangua Merewairita Vunidilo, Mosi, Wasuki Kandawu, Aoyambaki Rosangabula Kandua, and Nautiko Hilo, Hawaii. So my name is Merewairita Vunidilo. I am from the islands of Fiji. I'm from the province of Namosi from my father's side, and I'm from the province of Kandawu from my mother's side. I was born in Fiji until I was about a year old, and then my family and I moved to New Zealand, where I grew up my entire life until I was about 18. And then about 2018, my family and I migrated over to Hawaii. And we've been here for about 3 years now. And currently I'm a business owner of a small business, Batu Boutique, which encourages itoke heritage and just bringing Fiji to the map and just encouraging Talanoa and also language with my itoke youths and people around the world and back home.
Okay.
Yes.
Merwai, and I must say, what beautiful jewelry she has come up with as well. Yes, so for those of you who haven't seen it, please do check it out. It's called Mbati Boutique. So Mbati, B-A-T-I. Remember, Rangon, if you think about what we talked about last week, Mbati are our warrior, okay, our warrior clan. So Mbati boutique online. Do check them out. The thing I love about her jewelry and her initiative is that it's promoting Vosa Vakaviti. You can get jewelry accustomed to the names of the provinces that you come from and famous Fijian saints, which I think is just beautiful, because that's what our youth need, is to be proud of who they are, to be proud of their language and so forth. So well done, Merewai. Thank you for that awesome introduction. Again, great to have you this evening. Now turn the time over to our second speaker this evening, Mrs. Joanne Cerei, and I'll let her introduce herself. Vinaka.
Vinaka. Ni sambula vinaka kere sara na wakarong tiko mai na ngono vinakongo. Kamaro te kiwiau mo mai tiko na watabate ni vengaraviongo na rukuni veluta kine Alipate Traill na au maramani da kaunrobe au wasu kandavu. Ken bale kandavu in the house Merewairita. Yeah.
True.
Ni na viva kambauti ni rau talanga viau mo me vakaitavi na ulutanga na kodeke mai na singanikua. It's a privilege and an honor to be here, to be part of this podium or panel. When Albert told me about this, oh my gosh, I freaked out. But I'm so glad that this is what it's all about, to help one another, to collaborate on how we can elevate our culture and identity. Thank you so much for having me here.
Joanne, and also for those of you that don't know, our Temana West Auckland classes, I'm responsible for teaching the Meke. Joanne is our Ngasni Vuli Nivosa Vakaviti. She teaches our Fijian language, and what a dynamic approach and talent that she brings. She doesn't just teach lessons as per book or writing and pronunciation. She does the whole work. She does music, she does chanting, she does playing with Fijian games and little instruments that I've never seen before in my life. So I really love her approach of how she, and the kids really connect with her. I can see that the children really connect with the way, her style and her flair for teaching this, for teaching Vosa Vakaviti. Yeah? So well done to you on that, Joanne. Vinava Levu, once again for joining us, both of you. So we'll get right into our first topic. So I've broken down, what I have done is I've got three major questions that I've broken down into topics. I'll go over the topic, and then I'll get each of you to share your take on these topics. Yeah. So our first topic, of course, question that I've written is, what are some issues that have contributed to the breakdown of Sole Solevaki? For number one, young Fijians in urban centers around Fiji and abroad. So again, I emphasize the point that even though we live overseas, sadly enough, we hear stories, and the statistics are coming back through the Ministry of Information and so forth. A lot of this great work has been done in Fiji with cultural surveying and cultural mapping, headed by one of our great comrades there, our Master Simeone Sevundrendre. And some information has come back that kind of raises red flags. Which is kind of sad at the same time, that most of our Fijian youth nowadays is, number one, losing their language or not very fluent or familiar with basic Vosa Vakaviti, let alone even their Vosa Nivanua or their dialect of where they come from. And then number two, the knowledge of our Bula Vakavanua, yeah? That covers Tutu Vakavanua, Tavi Vakavanua, Navenga Ravi Vakavanua. Now there is a good bunch of young youth who are well versed in it and well connected, but the vast majority of our youth, this is in Fiji as well as overseas. Yeah, these are some of the issues that they are facing. So I just wanted us to look at what do you think are some of these issues that are contributing to the effect of on our young people nowadays. Yeah. So I'll just turn the time once again to Merewai, and then we'll go with Joanne once she's finished, and we'll take it that way. Naka.
I've got 3 points that I've written down where things that I've noticed, especially being a youth myself. I'd say the first thing would be an identity crisis. I've noticed that like when families who migrate from Fiji overseas, they drop their identity, their Fijian, or who they are, for good reason. But it's like for families who have lived overseas, like first generation, second generation, once they drop their itoke identity, they sort of cut off that itoke umbilical cord to their children. They feel like some people probably feel like their Pacific practices or what they've been taught, what they grew up with, probably they feel like it could be useless, not needed to be brought overseas, or not really needed to be included in a space overseas. But they don't realize that those practices and what they've learned, what keeps us grounded. And it's like they lose their identity to gain a new one. But one thing that should be encouraged is that you can keep both. You can keep who you are, and you can also learn new things that you can add to like yourself. Also, I've noticed another thing as well, peer pressure. It can be influenced through friends, especially social media, through movies and everything like that. They sort of push this image, especially to us youths, especially those back home, that you should look and sound a certain way. Either it's like your accent, your hair, especially your mindset. You sort of like have this me, myself, and I thinking, which is really encouraged in our Western society. That's like for me, but us being Pacific Island, us being Fijian, it's really encouraged for us to really think for our family, that if you come overseas, you're not only bringing yourself, you're also bringing your family along with you, even if they're not there with you. And I think one thing that Fijians, especially those living overseas, we should really be proud of who we are, because when you are yourself and when you acknowledge where you're from and who you are, and when you're like when you have self-love for yourself, you stand out from a crowd in a good way. Especially when I created my business, a quote that I have is creating jewelry to empower our itoke heritage. I knew when starting my business, I wasn't necessarily looking at the money side of it or being my own boss sort of thing. It was more like, I wanted to encourage my people that like, I'm not sort of someone outside of Fiji promoting jewelry to Fijian people. I'm a marama, I'm an itoke woman living overseas, acknowledging who I am, but also sharing how beautiful our language is and how we can be proud and represent our provinces no matter where we are around the world. And definitely with this business, I'm able to put my heritage, my country on the map. And I'm able to inspire my other itoke youths to take that step. It can be through business, it can be through education. There's many ways you can really show your identity and who you are. And another third point and final point that I've noticed too is there's no push or drive to learn. As a youth myself, I have felt that way. I felt that sometimes I take my language for granted. Even though my mom is Vunidilo, language kind of person, I usually tell myself that yeah, I'll learn my language soon. Like not now, like, you know, I've got my schooling, I've got work, the things I'm doing, but I push that need to learn my language later. I'm grateful though that my parents, they speak their dialect at home with me. So I understand my language and I know the practices, the knowledge that I have been taught with me. I know what happens if I were to go back to the village. I know what to do, but I would say speaking the language has been a bit of a delay for me because I think I try to speak at home as much as I can, but then as soon as I leave the house, I have to go to school. I speak to my teachers, I speak to my friends in English. So there's just never like a push or drive for me to really like speak it every day, which is sad on my part. But it's like the more that we wait and the more that we sort of like push that need to learn the language like later, it's like a part of our identity becomes like non-existent. And obviously learning something new, there's no age limit, but it's like the more you wait, there's like sort of no need. And then once you have your own family, sometimes things change, but I would say definitely creating my business and sort of like now being proud of who I am, where I come from, especially coming to Hawaii from New Zealand, I definitely have like I now have like a drive to really learn my language more. So yes, those are my thoughts on that.
Wow, that's amazing. Rita, that is really beautiful and just so well articulated, you know, and I can see from your journey where you are now that you're in Hawaii and you see you're in a land where the culture was almost lost for good, suppressed for a long time, and has now come through a major re-blossoming or immersion phase, yeah, that you're seeing now amongst your Hawaiian comrades there. And honestly, what a beautiful place to be inspired to love your own culture. And, you know, just the points that you've shared, simply beautiful. I hope a lot of young people are listening into and paying attention to what you've just shared, because that's really, really important. And thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing. Merewairita. We'll now ask Joanne, Mrs. Cerei, to give us her rendition or her response to the topic one.
Well, honestly, I think Rita has said everything that's in that package of Solisalevaki. Wow, well done, Rita. I'm so happy to hear the progress you've made. And those are the really need that our children need to know. Thank you, Rita. Well, from me, let's talk about Fiji. I have 2 or 3 points about why this is not happening in Fiji. One of my points is resources. You know, there are insufficient resources for the generation now to know more about what Solisalevaki is all about. And it's not only Solisalevaki. When you go to the village, your culture is what you wear, is how you show yourself, your behavior. So this is all part of the resources that I was thinking about. This is what our Fijian people is actually lacking, the resources of knowing the culture and the identity. And the other one is the support. You know, some of these good children who have come from big boarding schools, RKS, QVS, that support when they leave school, when they come home, sort of neglected. And with culture shock, they go to university, they don't know what they're doing there.
Right.
So for me, it's the support on what interests them on their journey from school to tertiary level. And the other one is the low self-esteem. You know, when they come back home, they come to this bure. They come to this little house in the corner. And sort of, they come back and look at themselves as, Isa, go kito, go na nungu matabubali. And around the kanirawaten na kasi sema. You know, well, this is like emotional now. So they need that support from where they left to where they can carry on life. You are so fortunate, Rita, because mom and dad is educated and they build up what they know that you have. But think about your cousins, your brothers, your sisters, my nephew, my niece in Fiji, who has this potential, but how can they be supported to meet their dream or their vision? You know, what can they have a lot to contribute, but how can they be given that opportunity to showcase what they have studied?
Right.
That is for my families in Fiji. But just like what you said about growing in New Zealand, I've got 3 boys here, Rita, and a daughter. And when they started growing up, it was really easy, nice. They listened, they obeyed. But as time goes on, it's like, Mom, you can go and we'll just stay home. Why are they doing that? You know, it's like we go out to Solesolevaki, and my husband will say, "Hey boy, dara no misulu bakatanga." And then he'll look at me and said, "Mom, do I have to?" I said, "Lubengo, matai ko naturang ni tailew. Dondono sarang amo nandar." But these are the influences that is happening in the world around them. As you said, from home is different. When you go to school, everybody's on jeans. Everybody don't wear the right shoes that they needed to wear to school. So these are the things that our children here are growing up with. It's the influences that surrounds them.
Yes.
We cannot say that it's bad, but that is, we brought them here for a purpose, eh? My children were all born here, but it's very hard to push things on them when they are in this world around them.
Yes.
And that is one of my point for children growing up here with Solesolevaki. Another one is fear. The fear to tell everybody who they are. You know, and my son's name is Aria Emmanuel de Rey. Mom. In the rugby field, they call me Emmanuel. So I think I'll carry Emmanuel. Yeah. Sabi na katoko na yave ambela tinidaba. Link vata nambula batikera no na friend. Sinindu ada na chiko tomu seo kobe seo de. So that it can be like a peer pressure, but for me it's relationship. I get connected with them because we all have kind of same kind of names. Okay, yando na katelanga vio na influence na keni katolu the language barrier. Engone ni viti na Lubengo, turanga ni kamba na Lubengo, When they Solesolevaki with the Fijians, he went to Wesley College, and Wesley College there were a lot of Fijian boys that came over to study. And when they do their prayer, the boys prayed in Fijian. Sano nateno Lubengo, sakakwe, hey bro, do you want to pray for me? I've got a sore tooth. Balatanadaba, okwe manduani sinikila na masubakaviti. So that could be one of the language barrier when they associate. Iyo yando na bakasa mtalanga uko tamay na auranika na working in collaboration, they are good at that. We're nanandangon. Erangone be kawitaki or na tumbuike ni daka bango endona songo erna tikokina ni daka na rugby 7 erna tikokina era sini bosa boka vite era bosa babalangi. But when it comes to Solesolevaki, I will say our Fijian children do very well in that.
Yes.
Balatana daba balater tumberi tiko meikina na nonra susumai veitu veina veitua they still carry that momentum with them. That relationship with our Fijian children are still there. Na alu ni kawa teki wakat kunti kuno tu liu. Na alu ni loloma. Tiko binakasara beira na nondangon. Kwa nga nakambe kaya mo saya mbe ngaki na kemuni liu na what I'm trying to put here is it's more than collaboration. It is working together.
Nice. Joanne. Yes, definitely. You raised some really, really important points there. Yeah. Resources lacking in Fiji, the support from home. Sometimes we have a lot of low self-esteem issues, fear to be proud of who we are. Then you have the language barrier, and then to kind of consolidate all of these issues, now we have social media. Yeah, compounding these issues, telling them, hey, you know, you're not good enough, or you don't measure up to this or that, or, you know, honestly, as you said, there's so many influences out there. But what I also loved is how you also recognize that our children, even though we don't have the opportunity to Solesolevaki in a village setting, because we're not in the Vanua at the moment, you still recognize it happening as we come together to support for sevens or for sports or for a church function or birthday. I love that it's still here, but I think as you were saying also, just needs to be reinforced with our other values, yeah? Which leads us to our topic number 2, Loloma and Veikawaitaki. Loloma and Veikawaitaki are appendages or a part of Solesolevaki. How can we adapt and apply Vanua concepts such as Solesolevaki into our personal lives and that of our young Fijians, even though we live away from the Vanua? And I guess this can apply for Fijians who live in the urban centers of Fiji as well, such as Suva, Nadi, Lautoka, and all the major urban centers, as well as those of us who live overseas as well, yeah? So how can we apply these concepts? And I think you touched a little bit on it, Joanne, in your answer, but I want to hear more of how can we ensure that our children know that they are actually being a part of Solesolevaki, because if they're not told or taught this, then they won't recognize it, yeah? So how can we adapt these Vanua concepts into our personal lives and apply it, especially for our younger Fijians, so that they know that what they're a part of, yeah, or what they need to do to get to that point of understanding? I'll turn that to Merewai at this time. Naka.
I would say how we can apply this is by encouraging Vosavakaviti at home. Another way is to continue our Talanoa or talk story with our families back home and those and our families here overseas. Also, we could like try join or attending like Fijian events or Fijian dance groups. Through this, this will be able to help us spread our social circle. So we'll be able to create more connections through family or friends, or if it's through anything for work or anything. And I think one thing that is great living in New Zealand especially is how they have Polyfest and Pacifica festivals. I went to school in Papatoetoe High School and Edgewater College, so we were able to join into these festivals and showcase our Pacific performances. So I think one thing that was really great about this is because encouraging these festivals, especially within our community, especially in Auckland as well, it's sort of, it helps teach us that like we're being acknowledged, that our cultures are important and that it should be shared to the world and not hidden. So I'm definitely grateful for that. And especially living in Hawaii, like what Albert was saying before, that I've been here for about 3 years, but I've appreciated how much New Zealand, especially with the Fijian classes, the Samoan classes and stuff, they encourage us to learn, especially the fact that they're free, so we're able to come in and learn who we are. But being in Hawaii, like they're now starting to learn these languages and they're starting to get the resources together. So I think it's great that I grew up in a place where, you know, we can really like showcase who we are to the world. And I think it's great that the government's able to allow us to do that in a safe way and in a good way. So yeah, those are the points that I'll bring up about how we can practice that. Yeah.
Love it, love it. Hey, that's amazing, Merewai. I really love what you said. Yeah, Vosa Vakaviti at home, encourage it. Play more Fijian music at home. Turn off My FM and Fresh, or what do you call it? Flavor, or what is that one? Flavor, or whichever those
Flavors, yeah.
Fijian music. Join Fijian social groups. You know, I really love it. I really love it. Talk to family. Get more involved with your family history, your genealogy. Yeah, connect. Love what you said. And yeah, being a part of such as Polyfest and Meke groups. Also, your Papatoetoe High School this year, I'd just like to say, because I was a judge on the diversity stage, took out the Fijian section for this year. So
really?
You just favored them, Pate?
Well, honestly, they brought it. They had such passion on stage. Their costumes were beautiful. And the thing is, probably maybe 3 or 4 kids were Itoke. The rest were all Indo-Fijian, our Indo-Fijian brothers and sisters. And, you know, they did such an amazing, they had passion. And I can see exactly what you're talking about is, you know, that coming together, that they boosted, they helped each other to stand up and be confident and be proud of who they are, yeah, and where they come from. So I can definitely, agree with you on that one. So thank you for sharing that. We'll turn the time now to Gasnivuli Joanne. Vinaka.
Just adding on to what Rita said, for me, with my boys, I make sure we eat a Fijian food every now and then. Once a week, make it kind of row. Singaya, oh, the cabana lamb neck, oh, stew takana lamb neck. They were going to go lay. Mom, since when we eat a neck of the animal? Avangaysa. Dari kila ko ya tina nando kanya nando monito ay. Me soup tak. So nakalalay baya. Oh, that's how I impart my culture to them. To kanaroro yo sababi ni pinakabana klon yo sa pasi sarang arabasa ngaroro Rita. Oh, do basa ngaroro mila tungang. Go sa wala mo ni mila. Sarto kila na kanaroro. Sarto kila na kanya nando manilami. Iyo. Sarto orto na nunggungon ni basa katavioka orto kanya na manray.
Oh yeah, Reva.
Nakasangay na kava, ni uda kabendo na kuro soup to binaka, I'll make sure me sinindor man right ko ibali. Balata na raga. Ni sarabia ka na kanya nga naman right se bebe. Na kanya nga tavioka So nakalalay baya ninda tukuniti ko na loloma nando tulutang ti ko ni ko na loloma patake na kawitaki au kawitaki ko na nonreto well-being na nonreto umbula merto kila talanga ngo na kengo kaka na talanga na ikabakalolo se ikabakamiti iyo kaya na lubengulele ma'am next time ko kabana ikabango roni fila tanga na kengo ko lebi na kulina iya So nakalalay baya and ang bulan sole baki au saba ka buli dito chuma na kina na lubi ang gumerto kila na kanya na kenreto kakana
totoka
na kinikarwa na lotu ibale
iyo
ando anakay mosi kina na ulunreto wasara nga ndo mosi na ketena mesa ko ibalimbula na imuni dundro oh man iyo ayaw sando toro nga nung kita giri lang serva kabiti lang serto nga ni na so sambe nga nandalangan retor to sala ko may mikitulot balata na raba na loloma bakatinetiko merakilatiko o kenda dataw yabuta kita lang amin na luto se bebe
naka emeni
tuan na bulaya batake na non dei tobo do mungkin nga una kita usandong giriviti iorto hi uncle gobe ko yang kasibiyaw to vital no sa uncle tal no sa tunga me bangar tu tambabat sao tina vital no sangay do kay virtureda ano mo momolew what's momolew iyo in Fijian you respect that's my big brother. You respect him. That's your big uncle. In Fijian, you call them momolewu. To identify who your family is for them to understand. Not only know, but understand.
Koya.
Itiko kinaya na loloma, matikin na bikawitaki. Madawa bida na madawa sawa ti sangiri may na nungu brother ko itiko mo Australia kakwa hey. Sarong binak sarang avia unito ko no mobili bula momolewu tareko
Raiva
bimbi ni non da poca buli direti ko na lubenda o dengo na dava ni da butike Congo go momolewu go neilewu so nakale baya unanu manimbimbi talanga na bula ni solbaki na bula ni loloma kena bi kawitaki merakilati ko mandanga na lubenda ratiko ike o they o irana wekandra na dava ni davuti be ira he's not your uncle he's your momolewu
koya
and you know you can feel how spiritual that is and how that brings the relationship into connection when you are able to speak not only to the man but to who he is in reality.
Right.
Yeah, I be the nabakasama o kotamai and bukuni ulutangongo.
Totoka, vela vale vu ngas nivuli Joanne. You know, that's you raised a very important point. The breakdown also is happening with Navewe Kani is our relationships with each other as families. It can be within the family as brother and sister, extending out to aunties, uncles, grandparents, and so forth. Yeah, in-laws and all of that. One of the sad statistics that was raised also by Master Simeone Sivendrende in Fiji is the high rates of family incest and rape cases that are happening in Fiji today is evidence of the fact that Vewekani has been broken down as well, because there isn't that establishment of respect, how a relationship should function normally and healthy, such as you pointed out to your son and his more level, yeah. And so this is another very interesting topic, which we'll probably speak about in another segment. But just to touch on that Vewekani is very important, because through establishing how related and the type of respect, it dictates the type of relationship that we should have with members of that extended family, yeah? And that's important in Nabeka Vakaviti, yeah? Kawaitoke, we're known for the way we interact with respect. There's certain taboos, there's certain lines, or you can say invisible rules that occur when it comes to interacting with family members, yeah, beyond the immediate family. Yeah, and so important. So I love how, thank you for bringing that up. Also, Nalotu Vale, so important. What's not emphasized on the home basis will not be carried out into their future lives, yeah? So, kena wakawale takina nanonda bula wakayalo, sena bula wakawewekani, o nakaka naman tangava viti. If we don't eat the food, how do we expect our children to take a liking to it when we're in Fiji, you know? And I love how you said you cleverly removed the bread when you knew you were cooking cassava. Because back for the bread and guys, the cassava on the side. I've taken a note on that, and I think when I'm going to cook Fijian food at home, I'm going to remove everything else from the cupboard. So they're going to be forced to eat what we cook. So I really love it. Dr. Vale, Joanne, for sharing that. We'll move on to a final topic for discussion today. And the topic is, Solistolevaki helps to solidify one's cultural identity by creating a sense of belonging amidst a life of information and digital overload. How can we ensure a sense of balance and consistency in young people's lives as we deal with these issues? Yeah. So again, it helps us being a part of a group, a greater group, gives us a sense of belonging, and it helps us to navigate in this life of information and digital overload, as I was mentioning with social media, yeah? And how can we ensure a sense of balance is happening and consistency in our young people's lives today? So I'll turn the time to Merewairita to give us her perspective and maybe how she sorted through some of those issues herself. I'm really keen to hear about your version, Merewairita.
Yeah, Naka. Yeah, I understand digital overload. Obviously, with distractions and everything, you know, there can be times where with family, it can be distracted, or you might have other things in mind. But I would say if there's a family time or family Talanoa, if you're just talking, it could be about language, it could be about family trees, it could even be about what else? About school and stuff. I would say to maybe just turn off technology. My mom's definitely, she always comes in every time we're on the phone, she just sings a song like technology, and that's when we know, okay, yeah, that's enough. Like, so we turn off the phones and we just like really just take in each other's energy and just really spend time and just talk about everything what's going on. So I'd say obviously keeping the devices away for a certain amount of time, at least spend an hour with our family, see what's going on with each other. Obviously, I think before, I would say if you're in Fiji as well, obviously COVID, we can't go back home for us overseas, but I would say visiting our families in the village, avoid staying at the resorts, staying at the hotels, visit family, be with one another. I think coming to Fiji as well, I've never really stayed at a resort in Fiji. I've always stayed with my mother's father or my family up in the Kaidolas in Omosi. I stay with them. Swim in the river, eat mbele, ika, all the good stuff. I would also say growing up as well, I think the first time that I went to visit my village, well, I was about 7 years old. And it's so weird because even though I've been away from my village, I never really grew up there with everyone in my family. It's like coming there for the first time or coming like every year after that. It's like I belonged. And even though being away, like it was some sort of tie, like, you're at home, even though you never really grew up or you never really lived there your entire life. So I'd say being in the village, being with my family, and what you're saying, Uncle Albert, about encouraging, or with the whole incest and people not really talking about respecting your family, and what Auntie Joanne was saying, having that respect and knowing who your family is. I'd say coming to the village, whenever my brother and I, I'd sit with my dad and my dad's older brother, and they'll just talk to me. Like, my uncles would come to the house, they'll say, "Do you know who this man is?" And I'd say, "No." And they said, "This is your uncle." And then my dad would say, "So his mother and my mother are sisters, so this makes that connection." So it's nice to know that when I come home, me and my brother come home, they're able to have that communication with me, like encouraging me to learn and making that connection. So every time I come home, when I see my tavales, when I see my cousins, my valevus, I'm like, "Mbula valevu, how are you?" When I see my tavales, I'll say, "Mbula, okay, go away. Not too much talking. I don't need to talk to you anymore." Just knowing that, knowing where to draw the line, and knowing what to do, what to say. Also being here in Auckland too, around like 2016, 17, when my family moved back from Australia to New Zealand, my mum was doing a lot of the Fiji Museum projects, how the confederacies had come in and they would look at the resources and stuff. I would always join in and tag along with mum all the time. I told mum this, which is actually really embarrassing, but the reason why I would join my mum to the Auckland Museum or to the Fijian classes was because of the food. But I knew that every time, like, there would be an event, mom would go to, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming," because it's good food. But other than the food being great, I would say just being there with my mom and also talking to people. And also there's a few friends of mom at the Auckland Museum, Kolakesa and Auntie Barbara or Beyonce. It was just so nice being with them because, like, it's always good energy and also like great stories. And there's always stories that mum would bring up, the things that she would learn that she wouldn't tell me at home. But when she's looking at the artifacts, when I'm able to listen in, I'll be able to put like the object, like when I'm able to hold it, mum's telling me the story, I can sort of see how it was used back at home, what it was used for, its purposes and stuff. So I would say for those who are listening, our youths as well, tag along with your mum to any events that she has, any servus, join your dad for any sessions that he has with his brothers, join him. And I'd say, like, when you join your parents in those kind of events, you learn so much more about yourself. And obviously, I think you'll have a lot more respect and a lot more love for your parents in a good way. Seeing them in a different light, just, I know, it just helps you appreciate them more and appreciate your Fijian itoke identity and stuff like that. So yes, those are my thoughts on that. Yeah.
Totoka. I'm just busy writing away over there. That's and for our young people, you know. Thank you so much for sharing that, Merewai. I've taken away a lot from that, and I hope our listeners and our parents can also. It's good to hear that young perspective, because sometimes we think we are doing. We hope that we're on the right track to teach and to inspire and influence our kids, but then sometimes we question ourselves again, and we think, "Oh my gosh, am I actually doing a good job, or am I making a nuisance, or I'm making them like me more, like me less?" Or so lovely to hear from your experience. So Vunavalevu, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, wow. Well,
Naka.
now I know why you always hang around with mom.
I saw mom a few years after. I was like, oh yeah, I came for the food, but I learned a lot.
Yes, definitely. We can see that now.
Love it. Naka Ngasnibuli, Joanne, if you'd like to add to that. Naka.
Yeah. It's so nice to have Rita, because you talking from the young people's perspective, eh?
Yeah.
And we are here talking from our perspective, which we were born and bred in Fiji, coming here and having children here. So it's really nice to hear what you have to say. Yeah, Vinaka. For me, it's setting the boundaries, to have that a sense of creating a sense of belonging to my children. I have to set boundaries. Like you guys are in this world, you go here, you go there. I always say to myself, how much energy do you young people have that you can go from this side to that side? One car pick you up here, another car pick you up there. You guys have a lot of energy to do things around you. It's a privilege, I should say. Yeah? But then you should know that there is a boundary here. We're setting boundaries here as parents. Eh?
Yes.
I'll let's tell them, this is your home. You don't just wear that shoes from outside right in the house.
Yes.
When you come, or no. If you see your father or your mother here, hey mom, hi, hey dad, hi. Yeah, so nakalala yung wakabuli dito chicken na luwengo. Na connecting, na getting together. It's very hard for them to get together because they have a lot. They have sports, they have this, they have that. Na non rambulay, na non manimbula rita. You have a lot of agenda.
Yeah, true.
But one thing I tell my boys, when it's time for your father to cut the grass, go and help him. Yang anangaw nito connecting, Lay sekatu kuna dad, let me take over. Na connection au reda viao ni raw but ni seryoso sa todo ko nambula okay nangono ngay ko tido kino tamandato ora mero levi bukitumba. Niyo. Nangaw ne sama kikinan na lo manimbay ora mero levi bukitumba yang nangaw ne ron nito bibola katikina kasi nga sa watu ngaya nambula Iyo na digital nga kita saras dengan kita bi balabana digital Alata dato ronga ni bango na dapat ketingor. I'm talking to my coach. Oh bango sa sini basi nga ndabi mo sa kipata na coach. Alata ngona ya na device kau ni sa bes tu no mo na device ngona digital Au sama ni setting boundaries. Au sama ni tukuna berato reda. Neo sayado may vale, at least spend 1 hour or half an hour with us.
Love it.
If you have boundary time to do your digital, then go and do it. But set the time. This is home. This is not a house. It's your home. Ya saba kaya ba muriti ko sando ronga tanga vital no saba kami bakalew itumba bakalew o tinga sa stop chuko for half an hour back. Au saba binibina kani at least saratali raroti ko sana kalalay baya era buturikina. Ia era buli dati ko endo anaka. Yo, koya na bakasamo ko tamay na the sense of balance and consistency. Ko sarangaya ni sarna bakamuriti ngami bakamaloya. Sarakilati ko na non dei tobo. Sarakilati ko na non ra culture. Sarakilati ko deyo koya. O ye una tamangungo. o ia una tinangungo, Vata kei tale ngā mera kilati ko nā non rakawa. O nungu momo levungo, nungu nengo, Ndona singa ia ki tau sa alako, au sa basarango vi nungu ngone. Oh, shake hand to Auntie Sue. Au reda na matana sa wakai vile veki sa shake hand Sarah. Sa ki tau bonda na motoka sa bango koe. Mom, I have so many aunties, don't I? Yeah. Mera kilati ko ira, o vendi nango, o vengo, no, we just friends and this is what you call her. Mera kuni, we don't confuse them with who is their blood family and who is their friend family. Baby, iyo. Ngai vida na kau tamai mena buketi ko na ulutanga go.
Yes, nagsarva levu ngasni buli Joanne. Wow, the cup runneth over. That is amazing. In just a little short time that we've had this Talanoa, some amazing things have been shared from personal experiences, both from Merewai, a young person's perspective, Joanne's from a mother and a teacher perspective as well. And you know, this is amazing. You know, there's a lot we can take away from this. And I hope our parents and young listeners have been paying attention. And the good thing about this is this will be online, and we can always go back and rewind and re-listen to this, yeah? And I hope this gets shared to our families around as well. So, Naksarva Levo again for all your input. Amazing indeed. I'd like to just close us off with a quote. And before I do so, I thank both of you, Merewai from Hawaii. Please do give our love and loloma to Mom and Dad and Leo. We're always rooting for you guys and celebrating all your achievements as well. Wish you all the best with your Bati Boutique and your entrepreneurial journey. And Kasnibuli Joanne, Nasar Valib, Nayadomai, thank you for sharing your amazing talent and your insight. And I wish you all the best as well. And and our listeners as well. Thank you for joining us, all our viewers from wherever you have come to us this evening. May God bless and keep you all safe. I'll close off with a quote, and this quote comes to us from Vine Deloria Jr., who is a Lakota scholar. Lakota is a Native American tribe, I believe in the Northwest of America. And this is what he said. Every society needs sacred places. A society that cannot remember its past and honor it is in peril of losing its soul. So for me, remembering our past is remembering who we are as Itoke. Yeah, Anonda mbula vakavanua, anonda vika waitaki, na loloma, na solisolevaki, anonda wakatu, our identity, na vewekani, na vakarokoroko, na vakayalo, na kavakayalo, everything to do with spirituality and belief, and vakanomundi, to be silent. As the Fijian is the greatest way we show respect as well. So vinasarva levu to our panel this evening. I wish you all a safe and pleasant journey moving forward. And hopefully this COVID situation will disappear and prepare for a better year next year. Hopefully 2022 is our year to start getting back to normal.
True. Yeah.
I think we'll end it right there. Thank